Get out the insurance cards, get out the co-pays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by drroto.com.
Hey there, everybody. It's Dr. Roto. Get out those insurance cards, get out the co-pays. The office is open, my friends. It's time for the first look with my friend Trevor Hillstrom. Trust in Trevor. Johnny Danger can't be here this week, but we have his intel. We have it somewhere deep inside, and we'll let you know what he thinks. Trevor, we both had pretty good weeks last week. I won some money, but was really close to winning a lot of money last week.
Yeah, me too. My one lineup was in the wrong entry. If it was in the other entry, I do pretty good. But
it's always the case, right? Like if you put it in one thing, you win 10,000. You put another thing, you win $10.
Yeah, I play a lot of entries, so
I don't play a lot of entries. I play a lot of. I'm trying to be smarter, not more. But I did take down a small tournament on FanDuel. One of those where it was like 73 of us, and the winner got a $555 ticket into a big contest.
Oh wow!
And you know what? You know who's in there? Every other shark is in there. All these people are trying to. That's how they make their money. They go in, they pay like $10 and try to take down a tournament, and then they get those big, $500-600 entry things. So we'll see.
Yeah, I never enter those. Maybe I should try one.
I'd stay away from mine. All right. All right. Let's get to this week. Let's get to some of these games. Scores are a little higher this coming week than last week. I see a 43, a 49, a 47. I mean, there's a couple of 36s and there, but how does this slate stack up to you? There seems to be some obvious plays that I like, but I'm worried that if it's too obvious, that's not good.
There are a lot of obvious plays this week, and that's going to be the hard thing, is getting away from the obvious. There's so many good options this week. So I think we can pay down and get away from some of the chalk.
All right. Well, let's talk about that. Let's hit to at quarterback. Josh Allen, Lamar, Stroud, Daniels. Do you like any of those guys up top? Because none of those guys are really resonating with me. I don't think I want to pay up for a quarterback, Trevor.
Well, yeah, the problem what I find is I'm doing better paying down at quarterback, because I can pay up at those other positions that are really doing well. And there really hasn't been a quarterback that's really boomed the slate. But like if you had Justin Fields last week, you got a pretty high score for a cheap price. So I don't know if Fields, he's only on the FanDuel slate this week, but the guy I like that's cheaper is Lawrence. I mean, he is so close. I mean, he's missing guys that are open to just a fraction. I mean, they outplayed the Texans for 55 minutes last week, and they blew it. So
I agree with you there, but is he throwing enough? They ran the ball a ton last week.
Well, that's true. Now this week they're probably going to have to throw it a little bit more, and both their backs are dinged. ETN and Bigsby are both limited in practice, so they're going to have to throw the ball, I think, a little bit more this week to stay in it.
Sweet Baby Donuts asked about Jonathan Taylor. I think he's really, really doubtful. They haven't ruled him out yet, but I don't see him playing this week. Do you?
No, some of the guys I listen to, they said it's a lot like the Mixon injury, where they're looking, a couple of weeks, but we'll see. He didn't practice today, so.
I don't know if I'm in on Trevor Lawrence. I know that I'm very interested in Joe Flacco if Richardson is out. Can you get behind that one or not necessarily?
Oh, you definitely can get behind him, because he can pair up with Pittman and in Downs. Those guys are cheap, so you can really stack them well, because you really want to stack with a guy like Flacco, because he's not going to give you that rushing yardage. You don't want to play a guy like him naked. You want to match him with a receiver. So they're cheap.
Would you double tap that one? Would you go with Pittman and Downs?
Probably not. I'd probably just go with Pittman to start with, or play Downs. But I really like Pittman. He seemed to.
I do too. A couple of the guys who are really, there's three guys who are shouting to play them. One is Brock Purdy against Arizona. We saw that Arizona's defense, very overrated, not very good. Do you like Brock this week?
I kind of like him. I'm worried that they're going to pound the ball with Mason a lot down there. So, I mean, Purdy's decent enough. He's got the weapons. And he's another guy you really want to stack with a receiver. I hear a lot of people thinking Ayuk's going to come out this week. I don't know if I can get behind that, but
you see, our friend Danger likes Daniel Jones. He wasn't on my short list.
He crosses my mind. I want to see how healthy Seattle's defense is. Last week they played really banged up. If they have a lot of injuries, then I can get behind them. But we have to worry about Neighbors. Neighbors might not play. He's not practicing. He's on concussion protocol still. So if Neighbors is out, I'm out on Jones. If Neighbors
and Devin Singletary, it wasn't practicing,
and neither was Wan'Dale Robinson.
So I think it's going to be you and me suiting up for the Giants here. Now. Yeah. There is a game I really like, and I like it both ways. Don't be shocked. I love Jordan Love against the Rams, but I also can find a pathway to starting Matthew Stafford. I don't think the Packers defense is so amazing there. I think that it's doable.
The only problem I have with Stafford is their pass blocking is terrible, and the Packers will blitz him, and they might cause a turnover or two, but this could be a shootout type of game. I mean, they definitely can throw the ball. So.
Yeah, Permar doesn't like Lawrence. King to Icon, our guy there, he likes Geno to Metcalf. Metcalf has been sensational. Deonte Banks is not good. The Giants have good pressure, but not a very good secondary. But I always feel like Kenneth Walker gets the ball more at home, right? They always seem to get him 20 carries at home.
Yeah, they like to run the ball there. And like you said, if those Giants players are out, then they might not need a whole lot of offense. They'll like running the football if they can.
I kind of like where Sweet Baby Donuts is going here. Burrow against the Ravens. I think that is a really sneaky play, and I think there are ways to get a little freaky in this game. Maybe it's a Gesicki, maybe it's a Iosivas. I think we can get a little weird in this one.
Yeah, this could be a high-scoring game, and Burrow could be just airing it out. He's got the weapons, and in Baltimore, they haven't really been tested. So I like
that game's a 49.5 spot. I kind of like it, Trevor. I do.
Yeah. And Burrow's going to go unnoticed because everybody's going to see him up against the Baltimore defense, and they're going to shy away from him. So.
All right, so let me ask you this question. So two things. One, JS asks us about Chase Brown. Chase Brown looked very good last week, but I feel like I'm chasing last week's points with him. Thoughts on Chase Brown?
Yeah, he never really crossed my mind yet, but, I haven't really dug deep into it. But he's not a guy that I'm, there's so many other backs on the slate that I'm looking at that, he's just not popping for me.
All right, let's get to running backs. It feels like I'm very upset at myself. I knew Derrick Henry last week. I said it on the radio. Everybody out there could listen back to it. I said Buffalo's got a terrible run defense. That's their weakest point. It's always been that way. And Derrick Henry goes crazy. I didn't play it on FanDuel. I should have. It was my mistake. I own it. But now Henry is through the roof. His price is epically high.
Yeah.
And the matchup is as good as it gets. Is this a slam dunk? Don't think about it. Or is this a fade? Because now people are awakened to the fact that Derrick Henry is great.
Well, I don't think he's a fade, and I never, like I said, I never think a guy is just a slam dunk, especially at his price. His price has come way up, but he is in a great spot. He scored 30-plus points the last 2 weeks, and if you want to take the big tournament, you had to have him. So he's in a great spot. You just have to find other places to spend down at.
So are you going to spend the $7,800 on DraftKings for?
Oh yeah. I'll have, like I said, if I'm playing a lot of lineups, I'm probably going to play them in half.
Wow. And FanDuel, he's $9,200.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he's even a little more valuable there because you take the catching out of the equation for the most part. So yeah, I like him. You just gotta find a way to get him down.
All right. Let me ask you this question. Henry goes 95 yards and a touchdown. 1 catch for 10 yards. So basically, he puts up an 18 or 19. That doesn't kill me. The only way I'm dead is if Henry gets the game like last week. Then I'm dead. But outside of that, maybe it's not worth paying up for him.
Well, if he doesn't score 20 points, then he's not worth it.
Right.
You're banking on him to score the 20 points. So
right.
You got to figure he's going to get 100 yards and a touchdown. But we've seen this many times over the years of playing DFS that where you think a guy's a slam dunk, 100 yards and a touchdown, it doesn't happen. Cincinnati could sell out for the run because there's not a whole lot of weapons there as far as passing weapons. So they could really try to sell out there.
All right, I'm going to give you a freaky play. You ready? I like
Yeah.
Rashad Bateman to score this week.
He did cross my mind. You know, he could be a deep play.
Yeah.
I like Flowers a little bit too, but yeah, Cincinnati they like giving up the deep pass. So
they do. They give up a deep pass, and I think the only way I get burned here is if Henry, let's say Bateman trips on the 2-yard line and Henry comes in and he scores. I could see that, but I think I'm fading. All right, let's talk about some of the other guys. I don't think Jonathan Taylor plays like we discussed. Let's talk Kyron. Let's talk Mason. Good matchups. I mean, Green Bay, not a great run defense. Mason, Arizona stinks. Do we like both those guys?
I like both those guys too, and those will be the lineups that I have that don't have Henry. I'll have both them guys, and they're in great spots. Kyron Williams should get the ball 20 plus times, and so will Mason. I mean, they'll run that football.
So, is there a guy? What about a Chan at 7,200? Do you think? I think he comes in lower owned because people saw the disaster that were the Dolphins last week, and maybe we're getting him for pennies on the dollar.
Yeah, you might be, but I'm not. I'll put him in a lineup or two, but I'm going to stay away of that. You know, I guess you should be ahead of it in case he does do well. I mean, I think I would like Tyreek Hill a little bit more on that side if I'm going to take a chance on a Dolphin player.
Well, it's funny. Tyreek Hill was pissed off on the sidelines. It's like, get me the ball. I mean, Hundley couldn't even throw him a 5-yard pass. I mean, all they got to do, literally, just throw him a 2-yard pass and let him run.
Yeah, it was sad to watch. I was glad there was another Monday night game on.
Yeah. All right. What about Josh Jacobs? I know how much you love your Packers. What about Jacobs in a prime spot?
Yeah, he's in a good spot too. Love's still a little bit banged up. A little bit. Love's not 100%. I don't think they want him throwing the football as much as he had to last week, but he had to throw. They were behind by so much. So Jacobs is always in a good spot here. He could get 100 yards and a touchdown, and he'll get a couple catches too.
I like Jacobs. My question though is, I may have 2 different lineups where I'm double stacking with Love in one lineup, and the other one just having Jacobs. So maybe Love, Reed, Wicks, or Love, Reed, Kraft. And the other one just going with Jacobs.
Yeah. I think Green Bay is going to score close to 30 points.
Right. I do too. All right. Let's look at some cheaper guys. Zach Moss, Ramondre Stevenson, who somebody mentioned. Jerome Ford. Trey Sermon, even though Jacksonville's been pretty stingy. DeAndre Swift, who looked possessed. Any of those guys, and I do have one other guy to mention, any of those guys make you interested?
I like Swift because he catches the football, and Carolina is terrible against the run. Another thing I like about Swift is Caleb doesn't push the ball downfield to his receivers. He can't do it. I mean, he's dumping off. His passes are 3 to 5 yards, and then let the receiver, the running back, run with it. So I like Swift because he's cheap, and I think he's going to score again.
I just can't. I can't click the button. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying me clicking that button makes me nauseous.
Well, it is against Carolina. So that's where it comes in.
Let me give you a guy I like more. Javonte Williams.
Ooh. I've been on his train for so long. I've jumped off of it. I don't know if I can get back on it, but he has all the talent. I hope.
But that guy's hurt. Was it Beatty? I call him Beatty, but I think it's whatever. Beatty. He's out. You have McLaughlin. Blake Watson isn't getting anything. So you literally have McLaughlin and Javonte. That's it.
Yeah. I hope he ends up on the Vikings someday.
Who?
Javonte.
Oh, yeah. He'd be really good. I think he's the sneaky play. I do.
If you say so, I'll add him in a few lineups.
Add him in a few lineups and add McLaughlin in a lineup or two, just because they're the only 2 guys in town. And I like Denver's D. So if I go a little Javonte, Denver's D, I feel pretty good about that. Devontae Adams has already been ruled out for this week.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think Surtain may not even need to cover Jacoby Myers Maybe this is a Brock Bowers week, but I don't know. I think this is a low-scoring, ugly game.
Yeah, it smells that way. It, looks like a low-scoring game. But I'm going to play Bowers to some extent because the talent is there. They need to start throwing the football.
And I don't think that Trey Tucker, this doesn't feel like the Trey Tucker week. Last week did. This week doesn't feel like it to me. I feel like anybody who's playing him is like 1 week late to the party.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, let's talk about some wide receivers now. Let's kick it off with Chase, and you got Nico Collins, you got Tyreek, Marvin Harrison. Any interest in any of these guys? For me, I think they're all fades, all of them.
Yeah, my first inclination on the lineup I've made for the Danger League that we're in, I didn't pay up for wide receiver. I was in that mid-price range with the Kirks, the Pittmans, the Wicks, the Reeds, those type of players. I think, they're going to get 20 points, a lot of those guys. So I really like them guys. Thomas.
Oh, yeah, he's in a good spot. He's in a really – see, I think that's where we're going to have to get a little freaky. We're going to have to find that one guy in that $5,000 range who, goes for the 25 points that separates you from everybody else.
Well, the thing I'll tell you about Thomas, I watch all their games. He's open by a half a step or a step every single time, it seems like. And then the ball just not there. I mean, if that ball is there, he's putting up really good numbers. So we get a really good Lawrence game, he's going to go off the charts.
All right. You mentioned, let's get to that Giant game. Let's assume for argument's sake that Neighbors is healthy. Do you like Neighbors? Do you like Metcalf? In that same range, you're looking at Stephon Diggs in a revenge game. And, of course, Deebo Samuel. Do you like any of those guys? I kind of like Deebo a little bit.
Yeah, Deebo. Well, the Simmons love Deebo. Our DFS hero loves Deebo this week. They got him up there. I do like if Neighbors plays, I'm starting him for the most part. Yeah, I'm going to play him. I'm going to play Metcalf. And I'm going to play JSN.
You are going to play JSN, really?
Yeah, I like him.
I love JSN, but Deebo was his first look. Against the Lions, JSN was open a ton, and he kept on pushing it out to Deebo. King to Icon thinks DK is worth 150 yards and 2 touchdowns this week. Do you see that against Deontay Banks, who stinks?
Well, it's hard to see it, but I can see it. There's no doubt about it. I mean, 100 yards and a touchdown would seem really likely.
All right, let me get to – I'm just going to throw out what Johnny Danger has so far. At receiver, Danger says Neighbors is an automatic play, and he thinks Deontay Johnson is underpriced. Thoughts on Deontay?
Deontay's underpriced for sure. He's dealing with a groin, but he's the same thing as last week. I think they're just precautionarily holding him out. So, yeah, he's really good. They left points on the board against Cincinnati last week. He lost out on 8.5 points. He had it right in his hands in the end zone for an easy touchdown, and he dropped it. That was 8.5 more points you would have got, which really would have helped all.
You'd be my rich friend.
What's that?
You'd be my rich friend.
Yeah. 8.5.
What about Marvin Harrison Jr., who I think is, I don't want to say this, but I think he's slightly overrated.
Well, that and so is Murray. You watch that game. You listen to the announcers, you watch it, there's guys open and Murray's not seeing it. I don't know if he's just too short but there's guys open against Washington all day long and he's not letting the ball go. I don't know if it's a confidence issue, if you can't see him or what's going on. So if Murray was playing better, I'd be more on Harrison.
I'm going to give you a credit. Permar said what I think, and I'm going to make a comment, Permar, and I think you're going to like this. He said he's not overrated, Murray is. Trevor, watch Murray. When the rush comes, some guys are tough. Some guys stay in that pocket and they take the hit as the ball's leaving their hands.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray goes to the ground before he throws it every time.
Yeah.
He is not a tough – look, could he beat me up? Most likely. Right? Probably. But the dude's an NFL athlete. I'm not. But the point is, he's going down. He's not taking those big shots.
Right. Yeah, he's Yeah, he's just not playing very well right now. And he fooled us week one. He had a really nice week that week one, and he's running around, he's creating plays, and it just hasn't been there. And I mean, this was against Washington. I mean, you expect 24 to 30 points against Washington from a guy like Murray.
100%. Now, you mentioned Jaden Reed before. I love Jaden Reed. Let's talk about, we've got Wicks. We haven't seen Romeo Doubs do anything. Bo Melton will probably come in off the sidelines and be the number 4 receiver. Tucker Kraft looks good. Musgrave is not healthy, so there's a good chance that Tucker Kraft gets a ton of receptions or a ton of snaps this week. If you had to rank your Packers, how are you ranking them this week?
Well, it's Reed 1, Wicks 2. I mean, I've been on Wicks train the whole offseason. I listen to Green Bay media. I like tabbing into there, and they, every single person that they talk about, they say how much the Packers coaching staff loves Wicks. Opening week he didn't get a catch, but they were falling down in Brazil. He was open and they fall down, and he scored touchdowns now in the last 3 games. So yeah, I like Wicks. I like Reed. Reed's a heck of a player.
I like them too,
and I like Kraft, Jacobs. I like them. The problem is I like them all.
Well, look, JS said exactly what I said, and I'm willing. I think, I run 3 lineups. I'm willing to have 2. I think, Trevor, 2 with Love. Honestly,
sure.
1 with Jacobs, 2 with Love, and I may just rotate the pass catchers because I don't know. Maybe Reed Kraft, Reed Wicks, Wicks Kraft. I don't know, but I know I need to have at least 1 Packer receiver this week.
Yes, I agree. If I'm making a bunch of lineups, I want to have at least Reed or Wicks in one of them.
And I agree with Permo. I think Kraft is absolutely in play this week. Let's talk for a second about coming back. I think Jordan Whittington is interesting to me. Who is Eric Stokes guarding? Because whoever that dude is on, I want that receiver.
Yeah. Robinson's a little bit banged up, but I think he's going to play. The guy that I like, and this was going to be my sleeper player. Last week I had Addison and Wicks. This week it's Tutu Atwell. I watch him play. He's been open a lot the last couple of weeks. He had 4 or 5 catches for 83 yards this week. If he can get a long touchdown here, he's going to be in the winning lineup. So that's the guy I'm looking at as Tutu.
All right, look, I trust you in trust in Trevor. Hello, right? We worked together for a while now. I trust you. I mean, when you said Addison, did I not say last week? The minute you said the word Eric Stokes, we were good. And then you hit Wicks when nobody else hit Wicks. Yep. So I know there's going to be a Rams receiver. I mean, how much is Atwell? Because Whittington is 4,500.
I think Atwell's 49 or 47.
Oh, he's 49. You're right. I think he's a nice play. What is he on FanDuel?
I got it written down somewhere.
He's 5,600 on FanDuel. Yeah. He's interesting because if he scores that touchdown, Trevor, he's going to pay himself off and then some.
Yeah, and he if you watch the game against the Bears, Stafford is under that pressure. He could have had 100 yards easy. I mean, he was wide open 2 or more times, and he just got hit.
Now, Permar is right. This could be one of the few weeks left with the Rams tertiary receivers, right? Because at some point, Kupp comes back, Puka, then, it changes everything.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. All right. Danger mentioned Trey Tucker. I am not thrilled with Trey Tucker, but I love the player, but I don't know if I love the matchup, and I don't like going back to that matchup. I think I'm going to be fading it. I think I'm going to go and be cheaper on Bateman or Ioshevitz than Trey Tucker, Trevor.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, if Tucker beats me, he beats me. I'm just not. I think we missed out on it last week.
Right. It's so funny. You want to be a week early to the party and not a week late to the party.
Yeah. Now everybody's on Wicks this week.
Correct. Look, one of the questions, and if everybody out there, I implore you to subscribe to drroto.com. And we have our Discord show. And there's always a question every week, Doc, who are the guys I should get this week that I'm going to need next week? And I know one of the guys I mentioned in Discord was Trey Sermon, right? He's one injury away, and now look who's starting. I mean, If you had said Dontavian Wicks last week, you would have been right, Trevor, because you called it.
Right. What do you think of Sermon this week if he plays? He's up to 5,700. I thought he'd be in the low fives.
Jacksonville has been crappy against the pass, but good against the run.
Yeah, 5,700 seems a little high for Sermon for me for this game.
Yeah, I'm not zero. But, Permar asks a question. I love me some Josh Downs this week. Love it.
Yeah. One of those, like we were talking about where you need a receiver from Green Bay. I think you might need a receiver from the Colts, especially if you're going to be paying up for Henry, because you guys are cheap enough you can play him.
I know that, and I totally agree. I could see, if I ran multiple lineups, if you wanted to do Flacco Pittman, Flacco Downs Pittman, I'm good. I think that game could be, what's the line on that one? It's 46. Are you telling me that couldn't end up at a 54?
Oh, definitely. There's no doubt about it. I thought they were on their way last week, but then the second half scoring just kind of settled down. Well, Jacksonville, did you see Bigsby almost scored that touchdown there, and he couldn't stay upright, and he got knocked with a 4, and they didn't score on that drive.
Right.
And there was another play that cost me a ton of money. Was Christian Kirk was 10 yards wide open for an easy touchdown, and he missed him. I couldn't believe it. I mean,
Kirk was open all game long. Kirk was open all game long. Now, here's the interesting thing. They played the Texans last week. Texans play Buffalo. Who's the slot receiver for Buffalo this week? Is it Shakir? Is it Samuel? It's not Keon Coleman. Could that guy be good this week?
Could be. Shakir didn't practice today. Keep note of that. He might not play. So I would think that it would go to Samuel.
And that he would be my sneaky start of the week.
He popped in my head as I was going over this. I'm like, if Shakir's out there, maybe Samuel does something this week.
He's going to be 4,200. I would be very into that, Trevor.
Yeah.
It's funny. When I used to work with Adam Ronis, I always said when Ronis and I agreed on the same guy, you knew that guy was going to do well. I feel that way about you, man. When we say the same guy, we're like, it's usually going to happen. All right, let's get to tight ends here. I'm not playing Trey McBride against San Francisco. Are you playing George Kittle against Arizona?
There's going to be some interest in Kittle for sure. Tight ends is so tricky because they're very hard to hit this year. We were right on Kelsey. He did get like 17 points last week, so we hit on him. It was about time he come out. But these guys, you can't put a whole lot of stock in them. They haven't shown. McBride hasn't been that great this year. Well, and he was hurt. Inconsistency with Likely in Baltimore and what's going on over there. Bowers, Kincaid's not been the player. Kincaid is a good player, but he's just not getting the action that everybody thought he was going to get. So,
Danger mentions he only playing guys in the 3K range.
Yeah,
he threw out guys like Ertz, Henry, Parkinson, Gesicki, Kraft. Is Kraft the smart play, Trevor?
Yeah, I always worry maybe are we a week from that one too? Did we miss out? But I think with Kraft, I think the Packers really like him. So, I think he's definitely in play.
This is a good question from Steve here. Do we drop Gesicki for Eric All? I don't think so. Gesicki, if you see where they line him up, he's lined up like a wide receiver, and that's because he's so good. I would not drop him. I agree with King to Icon. This may be my guy this week, Trevor. Colts not good. I kind of like Ingram if he's playing this week.
And he's decently priced too. He's in a good spot. He's a good price. And that's another reason why I think I like Lawrence. And Ingram's going to play. I almost, like you said last week, Love was going to play. I think Ingram's playing this week. And this is another reason why I like Lawrence. He's going to have everybody there. They're going to have to throw the football.
They're going to have to throw the football. I like it. Ingram. So look, I'm literally going to play 3 tight ends this week that I can think of. I'm going to play Ingram for sure if he's active. For sure he's in a lineup. I'm going to play Kraft. And then my question is, do I Bowers or no Bowers?
Yeah, that's a tough question. I kind of like Bowers. I do kind of like Gesicki. Baltimore gives up plays at the tight end.
I like Gesicki. I do. I agree with that. I may not be Bowers. I may be Gesicki.
Yeah.
By the way, Permar asks about Noah Gray. So let me tell you something about Noah Gray. I like him. However, the Chiefs are on bye next week. So here's my fear about Noah Gray, that maybe this week it's 8 or 10 points, which is fine, but then they're on bye. And maybe by that time, either Rice is back potentially, or they go make a trade for somebody, Trevor. And now I'm stuck with a Noah Gray, and he really didn't pay off like I thought he would.
Have we heard final news on Rice?
We haven't, but we haven't heard any news on Rice. I heard somebody today said expect, in back 4 or 5 weeks.
Well, I hope so. I really do. I did cut him in a league because I was desperate for a receiver. I couldn't, and we didn't have IR. So with the buys and injuries, I had to make a move and not worry about the news coming out.
All right. Who's the stack? Who's the stack this week that you're playing? Is it the Packers? Is it the Jaguars? Is it the Colts?
It's the Jaguars and the Packers. I really like the Packers and the Jaguars. This might be crazy, and Danger mentioned it in the email, but can you go with Watson against the Commanders with Cooper? I mean, they had some points taken off the board. I was going to mention that.
That was the worst the worst penalty I've ever seen.
Horrible. I mean, that's an 82-yard touchdown they took off the board for Cooper. I mean, Watson was a little more mobile this time. They're going to have to score some points against Washington. Washington's offense is clicking on all cylinders. Although the Sims really like the Browns. They really like the Browns defense this week.
All right. What about this one? Lawrence, Brian Thomas, and Ingram.
Yeah, you're going to hear that in a few minutes when I give out my lineup.
King Tycon says Geno, Metcalf, Neighbors. I get that.
Oh, I forgot about that one too. Yeah, Neighbors is playing. Yeah, I like that one too. That's really good.
Here's the thing about Watson. I'm more in on him than I have been. I am. But that Commanders front four is good.
Yeah, they are.
Their back is bad. Their front four is good. Watson has not done well under pressure.
No.
And if they're playing at home, right? If Payne, if Allen, if Sweat, if those guys can get to him, I don't know. I don't know how I feel. Or Lawrence, or what was his name? Darren, the dude from why can't I think of his name? He used to be for the Cowboys. Was it Dorian Lawrence? Why can't I get his name right, Trevor? Oh, Dorrance Armstrong.
Oh, yeah.
So you got all those guys pressuring Watson. I don't know. I think you said Cleveland defense.
They got the DFS heroes got them as the most valued defense of the week. Last week they had Atlanta, and Atlanta come through pretty good.
I like Jerome Ford a little bit.
Yeah, I hear Ford mention about every week. Yeah, he's got to give him some catches.
I know. All
right,
give me a lineup. Let's put it in. Let's see if yours beats mine, which it always does.
Yeah, well, we're 1-2 in the Danger League. I'm 1 and you're 2.
I know. Don't get too comfortable up there.
No, I'm not comfortable at all. Let's see, who did I have in here? This is the only lineup I made this week. I did have Lawrence in there.
All right, so Lawrence, running backs.
Mason.
And?
Stevenson.
Ooh. Wait, why can't I find him?
6,000.
Wait, hold on a second. Why can't I? How much is he?
6,000.
Why is he not coming up here? I see him. Okay, next. Receiver.
Christian Kirk.
Okay.
Pittman Jr.
Yep.
Wicks.
Oh, your boy Dontavian. How much is Dontavian?
5,000.
Okay. Tight end.
Bowers.
All right.
Thomas Jr. So I'm double stacking with Jackson.
How much is Brian Thomas Jr.? Oh, okay. 5,900. And your defense for 2,800?
Defense is the Browns. I'm going with the DFS hero there. I could, you could go Ingram and then pay up at a different, change the Jacksonville. I didn't want to play all three of them in the lineup.
That's interesting. All right. So you're at 131 points. I'm going to be Jordan Love. I'm going to be Jaden Reed, Pittman, and I don't know. Let me think about it. Tight end, I'm going to be Tucker Kraft, so I'll get it in that way. Running, you know what? I'm going to steal your thunder. Am I allowed to steal your thunder? I'm going to put Tutu in there. So I'm going to pay up for running backs, and I'm going to pay up for Kyron. I'm going to do Denver's defense. Oh, maybe I'll get my guy Javonte in there, who I mentioned before. So that gives me 6,900 for a flex. Ooh. Give me Debo. Ooh, Trevor, I beat you this week. 134.5. Love, Kyron, Javonte, Reed, Pittman, Tutu, Kraft, Samuel, Denver.
Yeah, that sounds like a good lineup to me. And here we just came up with 2 lineups that didn't have Henry in it. And I didn't have my Tutu in there, but
well,
I have a feeling I'm going to
fade him. I'm fading Henry. I'm going to tell you right now. DraftKings, I'm 100% fading. On FanDuel, I will have him in one of my 3 lineups.
Yeah, that makes a little more sense. He's more valuable on FanDuel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah. All right. So who's the trust in Trevor play this week? Is it Tutu?
Well, it's going with Tutu. Yeah, I'm going to go with Tutu. He's going to be the guy that I think is going to be very sneaky. I think he can go 5 for 80 and a touchdown for 19 points.
That's nice.
Yeah, we love that.
Is Stafford not playable this week, or is he?
Oh boy, I just don't know if he can throw enough touchdowns because Kyron's going to fall in the end zone from the 1 yard line. Jeez.
Sasha doesn't think so either.
No.
Well, I'm going to go with Rashad Bateman, who I think is super sneaky.
Yeah.
Curtis Samuel, in case Shakir's out, and Tucker Kraft. I think those 3 guys are on my. I'm going to have one of those guys in each lineup. I don't know which guy, but one. Oh, all right. Trevor, Steve asks this. What do you think of Roma Dunze and Tank Dell this week?
I don't know about either of those guys. Like I said, Caleb Williams has a hard time pushing the ball down the field. I mean, he really does. Can they get a Dunze open in the middle? How much is Kmet going to take away? How much is Keenan? What's going on with Keenan Allen there?
Dude, it doesn't matter. Caleb Williams not good.
That's true.
It doesn't matter.
And with Dell, I think Dell's going to play. So that's why I kind of stayed away from there's the Texans stack. And Buffalo's a pretty good pass defense. They're bad against the run. Can
I tell you, I kind of like Joe Mixon on FanDuel this week.
Yes, if he's playing, he's definitely a play.
Joe Mixon on FanDuel. But look, I think Tank Dell is good. CJ Stroud likes Tank Dell. But the problem is we're seeing Nico Collins emerge because we really haven't seen all 3 of these guys on the field together at the same time yet. Once that happens, everybody's going to be lowered a little bit and nobody's booming.
Right.
So, all right. Well, listen, guys. Friday night, it's Friday Night Lights with me, Willie Walls, and the great Swami Odell Blocker. Saturday morning, Sirius XM, Fantasy Sports Radio from 8 to 10 a.m. And, of course, Sunday morning, check out our Sunday morning Discord over at drroto.com. We're there to help you win for sure.
I'll be watching the Vikes.
Oh, that's right. All right. I hate those early games. I hate them.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it, but, this is a big one for us. It's against the Rodgers, my old friend Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll be up and ready for that one. All right, for everybody out there, this is Dr. Roto and Trevor Hillstrom saying be well and take care.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drroto.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.